Hi, Steve. How are you doing? Welcome.
Thank you. Yes, nice to be here. It's good to be here. Looking forward to a nice chat with you.
I know it's good. And um, I was thinking about you this morning, and I sent you a message saying, "Are we all still happy for today?" And you'd already, I think this was what at 9 o'clock or something. I sent the message, and you'd already gone for a swim, and were eating like a bacon butty in the garden.
Yeah,
And immediately, I thought, you know what? I want to be in Steve's gang. It sounds ace.
yeah. You want to be in my golden gang? You can join. Anybody can join my golden gang. It's um, it's a lovely thing that I've started doing on a regular basis. I mean, I always get up early. We can talk about that later. How early I get up, but I on a Friday. So I'm digressing already. So the conversation went with my mastermind group. That we talked about every month having a time to yourself when you can think about working on your business rather than in your business. Put some time to one side. And I said, I do that probably every week. And went, do you? And I said, yeah, because my job's very different as a speaker. Um, I'm not busy that much during the week, so I have time, and it's up to me what I do with that time. And I've got into a routine. I just kind of emphasize that on a Friday, I go swimming. I go early morning swimming on a Friday, and then I go to a cafe afterwards because it's all about the celebration, pat on the back, and I have a sausage and mushroom sandwich and a coffee. But what I do is not, I was going to say try not to do, but that means I don't really commit to it. But I don't put my phone on as much. I take a notepad and a pen, old school, and I just write a few things that I want to do, things that I've been thinking about. So what I usually do is I prime myself before I go swimming, so that when I'm swimming up and down, it's my meditation time in a way, and I let my mind ponder and flow and try not to think about too many serious things like emails I've got to do and invoices and admin, but more creatively about what would I like to do next month or in the future, or where do I see myself. So then at the cafe, then I can maybe write those down or do a mind map or something. Again, nothing too serious, but just get it out of my head onto paper, because I can't do it in the pool. I can't write in the pool because the paper will get wet. So I have to do it in the cafe. And it's just really nice just to spend an hour just doing that before I go home, because as soon as I get home, boom, there's my desk, there's my computer, and it's straight back into it, all the serious stuff. And I think sometimes I just need that time to, I guess it's escapism, or like I said, meditation. So that's my Friday mornings.
Oh, I love that. I really, really love that. One of the things that I teach is to help people get that pocket of air. I invite people to have a pocket of air every single day, and that's the about I don't know 20 minutes of you time.
Mm.
And the rules are no gadgets, no devices, no kids, no partners, no friends, no other people, just you and whatever it is that you're doing. And you've got that nailed, haven't you? And
Yeah.
and with your Friday routine, it's so important. What do you find that you get in light bulb moments galore when you're swimming up and down and doing laps?
Yeah, I do. But it's lovely because my mind wanders and I allow it to wander. So sometimes I forget those light bulb moments. I had a really good quote that came to my mind the other day, and the whole point is I've forgotten it. So I don't know where I'm going with this, but it was something like I'm gonna do that goal. I'm gonna do that goal yesterday. It was something funny like that, as in we keep on thinking about things that we never do. And it kind of spurred me on to do that thing that I was supposed to do yesterday, but I didn't do it yesterday. I'm going to do it today, but I probably won't do it today because something else will, distract me or whatever. But those flows, that's where the ideas come. And I'd be an idiot if I was to say that these are all my ideas. And I've learned that you get these ideas from stuff that you absorb, from podcasts, from books, from conversations, from networking, from reading things, even on the internet, from TV, films, and it's about absorbing all of that. But then, like you said, Barbara, giving yourself some time for the dust to settle, and that's when the ideas come. And as I said, not necessarily your ideas, but you match it all together and you think, I can do this or I could do that. That's a really good idea. But you've got to do both. You've got to get the information coming into you, and you've got to give yourself time to like get it all in place. So it's lovely if you can do that.
Yeah, it's vital to do that. The issue that I see a lot of people having, Steve, and I wonder whether you went through this as well, is the those gremlins in your head, you know, that you're in a critical come out saying, "Oh, I don't have time for this, and I don't have time to go for that early morning swim, and I don't have this, and I can't do this, and I can't do that." And it's about discipline, isn't it? So at one point, you will have decided that Fridays were key for you, and this was when you were going to do it, and you were going to carve out that time. What initiated that decision? How did you decide that it's going to be Friday? I'm going to do this. This is going to be good for me.
Gosh, I don't really know. I guess. Okay, so maybe it might have been back when I was an elite athlete. I used to go swimming on a. I used to go swimming on. I think it was a Monday or Tuesday morning, but also on a Friday morning. The Friday morning when I went was just me. It wasn't with the swimming club. Um, I just went to the pool and I did lots of training drills. So just one arm, then the other side was just the other arm. Then after that was just the legs. Then after that was just the breathing. And I was doing exactly what I needed to do. And then at the end, I'd do like a speed session, and then I'd go to work. So Fridays maybe for me was that special time. I guess I'm just it's all coming back to me now. Fridays as a child, that's when our family used to go swimming. Was on a Friday in the evening. So I've got my brother, my sister, my mum and dad. I was born down in Kings Langley near Hemel Hempstead, and we always used to go to the swimming pool Friday evening in Hemel Hempstead, and on the way back we'd get fish and chips, and then we'd come home and we'd eat it. So there you go. I guess that's where the swimming and the Friday has come into it. So now, up to present day, there's something special for me about Friday. It's the end of the week. Um, I do like swimming. I hesitated then because sometimes, I struggle with it because my legs just drag. So it's very much upper body, but I'm not leaning on excuses. But it's the case of I, I love open water swimming. And I do that. I'm digressing again, but I love doing that in the summer. But to do that well, open water swimming, I've got to be able to swim. So that's what I do, on the Fridays and throughout the winter.
Mm.
So it's kind of like building it up so that I can really, really enjoy the summer. And let me just say how amazing open water swimming is for me. Everybody's different, but I love going down there. I love the serenity, the synergy, the openness. It's quite early in the morning. It might be blue sky. You never know with England. But the other day, I had to stop my swimming because a swan was swimming in front of me, and it's moments like that when I stop, I see the swan, we kind of get eye contact, and I give it room because it's got a big beak, and then I look up at the sky and it is blue sky, and I just think, wow, what a wonderful moment I'm having here. This is amazing. And again, then I start swimming again, and for me, I've always had that thing of having to earn like the pleasure pain. So once I've done the swim, then I can have the sausage sandwich. Once I've done the swim, then I can have a glass of wine. Or once I've done the swim or the exercise, I can have a beer in the evening. That's how I do it. And I know some people say you shouldn't do that, but that's how I operate. And it seems to be doing okay for me. So building that up, and I think that the Friday before the open water swimming is always nice. So it's kind of just has gone into that. And the cafe thing was just a nice thing because it's nice local cafe. And now that I'm taking my notebook down there, that is my time to let the thoughts flow and get something down on paper.
Yeah, it's about finding your thing, whatever your thing is. Because I know when I messaged you this morning, I said, "Oh, I want to kind of come and hang out with you," and you said, "Oh, you've got to do the swim first." And I'm like, "Well, I don't much like swim. I'm not a swimmer, but I'll run and I'll do it. So if I can run this evening, then
Yeah.
do I deserve a
Yeah,
to
I
have
like
a?"
that. It's interesting because I believe in it. My kids kind of brought up on that as well. It's not a harsh thing. It's not a military thing, but I think it's all about balance, isn't it? And I
Yeah,
love
of course
that.
it is.
If I'm
Yeah.
going to like trash it on a Saturday evening, I'm like, okay, well, what am I going to do in the morning? Let's get up early. Let's do some. It might just be the gardening, or it might be some DIY
Mm.
jobs, or it might be some exercise because I've got a Saturday night party and I want to go there guilt free and just have a really nice time.
Yeah, that's good. It's nice to have that balance. I'm not a one for doing that because I'll do the run and then although saying that I'm now going to disagree with myself. I remember times when I used to do park run and I'd do a park run and I'd feel so smug that I'd just run 5K at 9 o'clock on a Saturday morning that I'd be all right and having a fry up when I got home.
Yeah.
So you're right, it's finding your thing. You've got to find your thing and get that discipline so that it stays. Because
Yes.
it's not about just doing it once. It's, stick to it, stick to it.
Yeah.
So we've already shared loads of stuff now, Steve. You can go. You're
Right.
done.
We're
That's
done.
it.
Okay. Well, that's lovely.
That's
Well,
it.
I'm looking
Bye.
forward to
Yeah,
it.
bye.
Yeah.
Um, so let's. Have you always been like this, or is it be? Because we're going to get into your story a little bit, but where have you always been like a really motivated, enthusiastic, positive kind of chappy?
Yes, I guess I was just trying to take myself back to my childhood, and it's quite a long time ago, so I'm struggling. But yeah, I guess I've always done stuff. I've always been energetic. I've always loved running. Running was my thing. Um, Out the back of my house into the woods. We had a little Jack Russell dog, so I'd take the dog for a walk or run, and I would time myself. And I still got them probably in the loft somewhere of the times that I did, and little comments as well. As in good run, pushed it near the end, and then I really like it. I used to put like lay down the quest, the gauntlet for my future self, as in beat that Steve. So when I go and read the
Ooh.
notes, da, 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 good run, beat that Steve. Oh yes, Steve, I will beat that Steve. And so it was like competition against myself, PBs. That's
Mm.
what I really strive for. As I grew up, getting to 18, 19, I working hard. I was working down the coal pit, but on a Friday evening, I got home. I'd relax, probably eat because that's what you do when you're 18, 19, to eat loads. But I would always then I had a routine of playing certain music on a tape compilation, and then I'd go out for a run, and then I'd get home, quick shower, quick change, out to the bus stop, and then into town, and get wasted going around Donny. But I always did the run, so I guess
Mm.
in a way I have always done that, or that push myself, do the exercise, and then blitz it in the celebration, whatever that might be. So I guess that's kind of helped me all the way through. I say help me, I mean you don't have to do that, but for me it seems to be doing the right thing. So yeah, I guess I've always done that in a way. Also scouting, not that I
Mm.
got wasted at scouting, but no, I always like pushing myself and doing activities, being adventurous. I think I did it for the fun and the challenge and the adventure, but also the life skills and the opportunities that you get within scouting. I think is really important, and I always think about the badges that you get down your arm, trying those different badges, and sometimes you find out what you're good at, and sometimes you find out what you're not so good at, but you still do them, and that in a way is what life is about. If you want to make the correlation with it, is that you try things all the time and see what you're good at and what you're not so good at. I mean, fast forward onto what I do now. This is like a leap of, but anyway, if I go into a pub and there's a load of beers, I always choose the beer that I've never ever had,
Ah, do
because
you?
that might be the best beer in the world ever, but I would never know if I don't try it. So pushing myself out of my comfort zone, well, trying
All
different
the
beers.
time, yeah. It's really interesting you say that because we were Dave, my husband, and I. Yeah, I think you've met Dave at some point. I
Mm,
don't know. Um, we we go out for a date every Wednesday, and there's some times where we just can't because might be tired. We've got we've had a busy day or something. We cannot think of anywhere new to go for a meal.
yeah,
And so we'll find ourselves going to the same place. And there are times where we just have the same thing,
yeah.
maybe for a month we'll have the same meal. And we got chatting about it not long ago actually and thought, it's not that we're not adventurous and we won't try things. It's just that decision fatigue set in and we just thought, right, we like it, we're all right, we're just happy with the purpose is we want to sit and talk to each other, not decide what to eat. But I love that you go and you purposefully
Yeah,
intentionally picking the beer that you haven't chosen,
yeah.
and you're always pushing yourself to that next step, and getting out of your comfort zone, and that comes across when we see you in real life. You have that aura of being enthusiastic and positive. You seem to just it's contagious when you're around you.
It's I guess it's grabbing those opportunities. And don't get me wrong, I want to make it clear that I don't do that all the time. Sometimes I do just want something that I know I like.
Mhm.
Like I love pie and chips. I like I know that just the food that we have at home, or chicken dinner, or pop into McDonald's. McDonald's is standardized throughout the whole of the country, almost the world. You know what you're going to get. So sometimes you just want that, rather than going to a kebab house and getting a burger there, because you're never too sure what the quality is going to be like, or the health and safety, or whatever. So, yeah, sometimes I go safe. But other times, and when it's good with the beer because it's only a pint, and if it's not
Yeah.
right, you could actually say, do you know what, this is trash. I'm going to go and get something that I actually like. Whereas with a meal, it's sometimes a bit more of an investment. If you get halfway through it and you go, actually, this is horrible, you're going to be starving,
Mm.
aren't you? Or you're going to buy another meal. So it does depend with certain things. But yeah, I don't do it all the time, but I do like to go somewhere adventurous with that mindset that this could be the best thing ever. If we go around the corner, if we go to that different place, different pub, different restaurant, different village, what's there? Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, I'm massive. I'm such a big fan of just trying new things. We were talking about it again the other day that spontaneity is like my love language, and I like just doing things on the spur of the moment and going different places that I've not been before, or staying in a different hotel that I've not been before. And it's of a similar vein, isn't it? You've got to just try and pushing yourself out of your comfort zone doesn't always have to be huge. It can be trying that new beer or choosing something different off a menu or just getting in the car and going to a different village or going out in a different place. And it acclimatizes you to stretching your comfort zone. You can just do it in nudges.
Yeah, do you know, I did an even another thing this year. I said I'm going to go to different swimming pools. So we've already discussed the Friday morning swimming. I thought, well, let's go to other swimming pools within the area. So I had a quick look on the map, and I've been to probably about 5 different swimming pools. Now the thing is with that is I want to do early morning swimming, and they generally start at 7 o'clock. So if it's an hour's drive, then I'm going to get up really early to go and do that. Now it's not so bad in the summer because it's bright and early, and I don't mind that too much. But then I've got to think, how much time am I investing in this? That's an hour of driving when my local pool is literally 4 minutes down the road. So I'm adding 54 minutes to my morning, eat both ways, and suddenly it's not efficient and it doesn't make sense. So I've kind of stopped that now. But then the other day, I think, yeah, I was going to a networking meeting and it was on a Friday. So I did get up super early to go to the swimming pool near that network meeting and then went. So it's still in my mind. But that was interesting because, again, I thought, I'm going to my local pool and it's fine, it's lovely. But what about the other swimming pools? Maybe they're better. Maybe they're quite empty. Maybe I will have the whole lane to myself. That would be amazing. That'd be really good. Maybe they've got a cafe nearby. And it's all these maybes that you don't know. And you can find so much out on the internet, but it's not until you actually turn up there and do the thing that you find out. And I found a really good cafe, which I've now been back to. I found a really good swimming pool where the lane is actually wider, so it's easy to overtake and things like that. So I have actually discovered from going out of my comfort zone instead of going to the place that I always go to, my local pool. So that does answer that question as well, as you can find hidden gems when you do go out your comfort zone.
And maybe you might meet somebody there that you didn't know, or that might turn out to be your best friend, or you might bump into a celebrity. Who knows? Who knows? The I used to do this thing on a Friday, probably about, I don't know, a few years back, where I used to have Friday as Barbara Day, and I'd like date myself on a Friday. So I'd never work on a Friday, and I'd wake up in the morning and I'd think, right, what do I want to do today?
Mm,
And I'd kind of take myself off doing things that, I don't know, I might go to the art gallery, and I wouldn't decide like Thursday or earlier on in the week. I'd just decide that morning. And I found so many gems of
mm,
places just by doing what you said. So I'd find amazing places to eat, lunch spots or great hotels to work in, and and have people messaging me saying, "Where is this place that you're at now?" So every Friday, I was just doing something really, really cool, and I really, really enjoyed it. And then it kind of fell off as other things took over.
mm,
But there's a lot of things just right on your doorstep that you could just try out. But I like the idea of just being curious. I think again a big fan of just being curious and wondering, well, what will happen? Maybe it's better. And a lot of people, Steve, will naturally, because of our natural negative bias, will go, oh, but what if it's not good? What if the water's not warm enough? What if they don't have enough lockers?
oh,
And you've just totally switched it on its head and go, what if it's really, really cool? What if it's ace? What if it's better? What if I meet this,
yeah,
amazing person?
yeah.
What if I find something epic?
I think you're absolutely right, and it is probably my positive mindset, my optimism that doesn't always work. Let's be clear, but and I think it's that business sense as well, because you mentioned then about I might meet somebody, maybe not at the swimming pool. I generally I kind of get in the zone, not in a competitive way, as in it's early in the morning. I don't really want to talk. My whole life and job is talking. I don't mind not talking. However, if somebody asks me a question, like somebody literally did this morning, they saw my leg because it's damaged, and so they said, "Can I ask you what happened to your leg?" And thus the conversation starts. I almost go into my keynote. So it does happen a lot that people ask me or talk to me. I don't necessarily talk to them, but I'm a very open person. But I think that comes with us bringing it to networking. You know, you go to a networking event and you sometimes wonder, will I meet anybody there? But it's that positive mindset, that optimism of this could be the one. This networking event could be where I meet that person that takes me on my journey, you know, on all the things that I want to achieve as an international speaker. This is where it might happen. I went to a networking meeting last night in Sheffield, and it didn't happen at that one. It was really, really, it was terrible,
Well, you
to be
don't
honest.
know. You don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
You
That's
don't
true.
know, right?
Yeah.
And I'm going to just call you out on that,
Okay.
Steve, because it might not happen in the moment. It might not happen. Somebody might not come up to you and go, "Oh, do you know what, Steve? You're exactly the person," and give you a big fat check. It might be that even a few years down the line, somebody will phone you up and say, "Do you remember when we met? You know, on at this networking event in Sheffield,
Yeah.
and it wasn't that good, but we chatted." And
Okay, you're right, because it's
you
that
just
opportunity
don't
again.
know.
I did meet two people that I already knew, and you're right. I've now just reminded them about me, and they were talking about how good a speaker I was and stuff. Because there were some speakers there and they weren't so good, but I won't go into that. But also, I did meet another person that I've never met before. Now he did kind of he kind of pushed me in a corner and started talking about he was an architect, but he's got a side project of creating rucksacks, and he's trying to get it patented, and he was going on and on and on about these rucksacks, and I'm like, I don't. This has got nothing to do with. I don't really care about your rucksacks. You know, after 5 minutes of hearing about it, I was like, oh, I want to go and speak to somebody else. So you know, you got the negative side, but yeah, you got the positive side of maybe just being present in somebody's mind. Somebody seeing me and go, oh, Steve Judge, and then a speaking gig comes up and they go, oh, Steve Judge, yes, I saw him the other week. So yes, you do never know, and this is why you've got to put the effort in. You can't attend every single networking event in the UK. Of course you can't. But it is about saying to yourself, can I do this one? Will I have regrets or will I have no regrets? And just doing what you can do.
In the way again I look at it, it's not sometimes it's just about you being there for somebody else,
Mm,
right? So you listen to the guy with the rucksack, that might have really, really helped him out because he might be sorting his pitch out and he might have, whilst he was talking, thinking, you know, I need to get this slicker or whatever.
yeah.
So sometimes it's not about us,
No,
right? And
yeah.
you turning up, it's just much about other people, right?
Totally.
So,
We talked about speaking because he said, how do you become a motivational speaker then? Tell me about it. And I said, well, you know, there was no qualification, blah, blah, blah. So I went into a spiel and we talked about speaking and Tony Robbins and what have you. So we did talk about that. And then I did actually say to him, I said, look, you know, will we go on Dragon's Den at some point? He said, oh, I probably not. I don't know. I said, look, if I can help you in any way, if you ever want me to look over your pitch at all, just send me a video or we can have a Zoom. So I put it out there and he was kind of a little bit unsure. But I said, you know, that's it. And so you're right. It's not just about, you know, what can I get from it? It's whether or not I can help people and whether that will lead on to other stuff. And I wasn't doing it to get money or to get business. I love watching people speak and I love giving feedback if they want it. You have to make sure. And I love helping people because I've learned so much in the 9 years as a speaker, becoming a professional speaker. And it's lovely to pass that information on. And I think a lot of people get this certain times in their life when you do start paying it forward, completing the circle, giving back. And it's such a nice feeling. If I can do that within the speaking world, then that's what I like to do.
yeah, and I know I have I know that you do that. Yeah, you are so good at giving other people feedback and supporting and mentoring people, which is really, really lovely to
Mm.
see. So we've talked about motivational speaking, and obviously you are a motivational speaker.
Mhm.
9 years,
Yeah.
geez, that wow, 9 years. So let's go back then. How did you get into that?
How did I get into that? So I've got an inspiring story, and so 9 years ago, I was asked to share that inspiring story to I think it was my sister's kids' school, and I did that, and it was really interesting. It was great. I got a buzz from it, and so I wanted to do more, and I created my own business cards and so I always had them. So I started in a way saying that I was a speaker, and then I just wanted to take it further. I started reaching out to local schools and getting into that, and then I watched this thing called TED Talks, and I'd never heard of them before, and or TEDx Talks, and I was like inspired by them. I was learning so much. I was feeling like educated, but then I started listening to some of these TED Talks, and I thought, wow, my inspiring story is better than that story. Maybe a little bit of competitiveness inside me, which is not always a bad thing. So I thought, I want to do a TED Talk. I want to do a TEDx talk, and so I kind of had that as a goal, and that was all it was in a way. But I was also speaking on BBC Sheffield, and I met somebody, and I mentioned a TED Talk, and said, "Oh, they're doing a TEDx talk in Sheffield, and why don't you put your name forward?" I said, "Oh, okay, that sounds good." So I did, and I got accepted, and I spoke TEDx Sheffield. This was back in 2017, I think it was now, and from that, somebody was like coaching us or giving us advice, and after we finished, they said, "Steve, really good, inspiring story. Have you ever thought about joining the PSA?" I said, "What is the PSA?" They said, "It's Professional Speaking Association." I said, "I've never heard of that." So I went along to Leeds for my first one. And when I went there, it was such a lovely place because now I was in a room full of other speakers. And I say that because it's a very strange job being a speaker, and it's very hard to relate to other people with proper jobs. So when you're in a room with people who are speakers or coaches or facilitators, it's lovely because you can be more relaxed and open. Anyway, the president then, which was Emma, said to me, she said, "Steve, if you join, you can enter a competition called Speaker Factor." And I was like, "Oh, tell me more." She says, "Oh, you speak for 5 minutes only, very strict, and you will get judged on your stage performance and your takeaways and your message and your everything. And you'll get judged and scored." I said, "Well, it sounds like a nightmare." And I said, "Count me in." Because by then I realized that that's kind of thing that I needed to do, go out of my comfort zone. And so I entered Speaker Factor, and I rehearsed and everything, and I failed at the first hurdle, and I didn't get through, but I re-entered and I got through. And the main thing I got, Barbara, was feedback from other people, professional speakers. Now these are speakers that get paid a lot of money. They do a lot of traveling around the UK or the world, and they're giving me feedback on how I can improve. I was like, this is like gold dust. This is amazing. And I improved and I changed and I adapted and I adopted, got me all the way through to the final, which is now in front of like 200 speakers, professional speakers, all judging me, scoring me, watch my stagecraft and everything. It's the most nerve-wracking thing I've ever done. Felt a little bit sick before I went on stage. And I didn't win the competition in that year, but it convinced me that that's the journey that I wanted to go on from that point onwards. I wanted to become a professional speaker. So that, I think it was actually 2015 I did TEDx. So 2016 was when I joined the PSA. And since then, I've just been working on that, and I've got better and better and better. Now, the way I've got better is by taking on feedback from other people, other speakers that I respect, also feedback from myself on the drive home, saying, "Okay, Steve, what did you mess up on? What was good? What was bad?" But also watching other speakers. I think it's so important to watch other speakers about what's good, what's bad, what works, what doesn't work. You can learn so much from watching other speakers, but not only speakers, watching TV, film, dramas, theatre, comedians, watch comedians either on YouTube or live. And because as a speaker, we're in the entertainment industry. So it's about entertaining the audience, of course, inspiring and motivating them and getting them to take action, but doing it in a memorable way. And people remember two emotions: the last time they laughed and the last time they cried. Now, if you can get both of those in your talk, then you're onto a winner. You get a round of applause at the end, but it becomes memorable, and they will take stuff on board. And then they will pass your name on, and then you'll get rebooked, and off it goes. So I've been doing that for the last 9 years, and it's ongoing. Much as I think my keynote is amazing, loads of accolades and awards and things like that, it's still being tweaked. And I've, just recently in the last week, I'm thinking about tweaking it a little bit more, and it just evolves. I don't get any more time. It's always 45 minutes ish, maybe an hour, but 45 minutes. So the time doesn't change. It's just the content within that 45 minutes that changes. It gets better and better towards perfection, if perfection is such a thing, but you're working towards that, and it's fascinating. It's like a game. I love it.
I like what you said about when you're in a room full of speakers. And I've done the Speaker Factor competition as well, so I can completely relate. It's but when you're in a room full of speakers, you got inspired by that. It really filled you up, and I think, again, I see so many people when they're in the room full of their peers, they might start to compare themselves and get that comparisonitis and think, oh, I'm not as good as those people, or I'm just a person from wherever I come from, from Leeds, and who am I to do that? Or I don't have as many qualifications as other people, as the people in the room. And we can start to put them other people on a pedestal and then put ourselves down. And I always think, and you did this naturally, you can either become threatened or inspired, and you chose to be inspired.
Mm,
Yeah. And it really pushed you on. I remember when I did Speaker Factor, when was it? Mine was only last year, I think. Was
wow.
it last
Okay.
year?
Goodness.
And one thing that I really enjoyed from it was having the room full of 200 people of your peers
Yeah.
that are all watching you, and they're all judging you, and they can't not, they're all
I
looking
know.
at, because a lot of them have done the competition as well. And it did me so much good for being amongst my peers doing that,
Yeah.
because you know that you're being judged,
Yeah.
and it's like the your worst fear, if you like. Well, what if they judge me? What if they don't like it? So it's like, okay, well, that's happening. That's just out. That's happening, and just getting over it. And after that, it did wonders in terms of my mindset and not worrying about who was in the room. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, no, totally. And I think it's a safe environment. People in the PSA are very nice and kind. And I'm
Incredibly
trying to
so.
work
Yeah,
out why.
incredibly
And I
so.
think I've got the answer. I think the answer is because we all know how difficult it is. When
Yes,
a
I
new
think you're
person
right.
comes into the PSA and says, I want to become a speaker, in our heads, we're kind of saying, good luck, here we go. And I want to
Yeah,
help
you're
you.
in with us. Yeah,
Please, because I've seen
absolutely.
people come and I've seen people go within those 9 years. And it's such a shame because you can see they've got a story, they've got the passion, they really want to become a speaker, they really want to put themselves on this pedestal, on the stage, like a rock star. And after 2 years, they disappear because they couldn't make it work. It's not the easiest thing to do. It's not the easiest job to do to get those gigs and stuff like that. So I think all the people in the PSA are keen to give their feedback, their opinions, their help, the support, so that person stays on and does the thing that they really want to do. That's why they turned up. That's why they knocked on the door in the first place. And we don't want anybody to leave.
Yeah,
So
makes
everybody's
sense.
really kind. And sometimes we get it wrong. Sometimes we overpower. Sometimes we give feedback when it's not requested or not wanted. And so we have to tread carefully. But we're just doing it for the good, really. We just want to help
Oh,
them in the best way possible.
you're right. It is the most supportive place ever. It is really, really a lovely place to hang out. But I want to go back to your story now, Steve, if that's all right, because you said you've alluded to this a couple of times now already, that you had a bit of a story, a motivational story. Take us back to what happened then to give you that kickstart in this story.
Okay, so 2002, I'm driving on the outskirts of Sheffield, rainy day, water on the road, my car lost control, aquaplane, and it crashed into a pole, bent the car in half, and crushed both my legs. So everybody came to save me, cut me out of the car, dragged me out of the car along with what was left of my legs, mercy dashed me to the nearest hospital in Sheffield, and that's where I was told that I may never walk again. That they did as much as they could with my legs in the operating theatre, but they were mangled. My left leg had been wrenched apart, my right leg had been partially amputated. So, with the message that I may never walk again, was very much a turning point in my life. It's like a fight or flight, in the sense that I could have just rolled over in bed and given in, and I decided to fight and say, you don't even know who I am. I'm gonna prove you wrong. And when I say I'm gonna prove you wrong, I'm not necessarily talking to the surgeon, but maybe the accident in itself. And I think I had a bit of anger and that passion that I really wanted to prove wrong. So I went on from that, did all the physio. I'm going to whiz through this story very quickly. But over the next year and a half, my left leg got repaired, the knee got repaired with new ligaments in there. My right leg, I had to lengthen out, had to grow my leg back by 4 inches to get it to the right length, and stand on it, walk in it. So in 2 years later, I was standing and walking, but I now had a disability in both of my legs. But I had no regrets. And this is really important because I didn't enjoy doing the physio. It was painful, it was boring and everything. But I had this future self saying to me, saying to me quite harshly, don't give me any messed up legs, Steve. Keep doing that physio. If you don't do that physio, your future self is going to be left with something that you don't want. So I was like, okay, I hear you. I keep doing the physio. So I was doing that passionately. 21 different exercises at some point. So when I got to the end of the rehabilitation and I had disability, I had no regrets. I knew that I'd done everything possible. I'd done the acupuncture, I'd done the physio, I'd got the specialist treatment physio, I'd lengthened my leg out, I'd done everything. It is what it is. And that was really important for me. So I then had to reassess. I accepted the situation, which is really important, acceptance. Then I wanted to say, well, then I realized that I'd set goals and worked towards them and I'd kind of achieved. I thought, oh, well, what else can I do to prove the accident wrong? Again, that anger inside me. And so I wanted to push myself physically. I started thinking about what I could do rather than what I couldn't do, positive mindset. Got into swimming, got into cycling, got into running eventually, found a thing called a para triathlon and triathlon for disabled people. So I competed in that, and in my category as a disabled athlete, I won in the British Championships. Now, to me, that opened new doors. That to me is an opportunity because they said, "No, do you want to represent Great Britain?" And I'm like, "Hell yeah, I would love to represent Great Britain." So that took me on the next part of the journey. And again, not easy. None of this is easy, and I know I'm going through it very quickly, but not only the pain and the time and the commitment, but I had a full-time job, I had a family with 2 kids, and now I'm training to become an elite athlete in swim and bike and run and juggling it all. But it paid off. I became European champion and 2 times world champion, 2011, 2012, grabbing that gold medal and achieving. And then it took me on to the next part of my journey, which I've kind of alluded to, about wanting to give back, wanting to pay it forward. And it's about how can I do that? How can I? Because if you think about it, all of that stuff was very much for me. There were my legs, me standing, me running, my gold medal, it's mine, my trophies, and now I wanted to share that. And so turning what's happened to me, the bad stuff, the accidents, into a positive and inspiring and motivating other people to achieve the thing that they want to, is a real satisfaction for me. And I'm not there yet. I think I don't think I ever will be, but it's an ongoing mission to inspire and empower millions, billions of people to achieve the thing that they want, so that I've got satisfaction for what I've been through. So that's my ongoing journey.
So much to unpack there,
Yeah.
Steve.
So
Loads to unpack. So literally, your life changed in an instant.
yeah,
In an instant, yeah.
yeah,
And that's like everybody's worst fears just come true, in that moment. And the one thing that jumped out at me when you were sharing your story is that positive mindset that you had, that you've been conditioning and sharpening all those years, when you were a kid and competing with yourself. That came into fruition. It came into its own. That's
yeah,
when you needed it the most. You really leaned on it. And I like what you was when you were having the conversations with your future self, because one of the things I always say is the actions that you do today is what you reap in the future. Your future self is not going to have the life that you want if you don't do the thing today. And we often don't think about that, do we? Sometimes we think, oh, it's gonna, when we get to this, when we get to this amount of money in our roles, or when we get to this level, or when we get to this role, this is what's going to happen. But you got to do the things to get there. And you were actively having those conversations with your future self, weren't you?
yeah.
Where your future self was saying, don't do this to me. You've got to get out of bed. You've got to do stuff.
Yeah, it was. It was like, don't mess this up, Steve. Please don't leave me. Because something with physio, if you don't do it, then your body will adjust in a bad way. It's not a blip. A blip would be like nowadays, your future self saying, "Don't have that extra beer, Steve. I'll be hungover in the morning." Okay, a
Mm.
hangover is a hangover. It fades, it goes away, or something like that. But with physio, it's life changing. If you
Mm.
don't do the physio, your arm or your leg will never be the same again. Don't mess this up. I'm trying not to use swear words because I was quite harsh with myself, but you get the gist. The
Yeah.
harshness coming through, and don't get me wrong, there were times when I said, "Shove you," I don't want to do the physio, and I would sulk and I would not do the physio, but it would grind on me. And so the next day I said, "Okay, okay, I hear you loud and clear. I will do that. I carry on doing the physio." But
Mhm.
I carried that on to becoming an elite athlete. I used to hear some athletes at the start line, big competition, saying, "Oh, I wish I'd done more training." And I'm like, wow, what an idiot. You can't say that now at the start line. I was at the start line with no regrets, as in, bring it on. I've done as much training. I would have loved to have done more, but I literally could not squeeze it into my busy life. So, no regrets. I've done as much swimming, cycling, running, preparation, and I mean everything: nutrition, equipment, mindset, wellness, yoga, stretching, everything. And that was because, again, my future self was saying to me when I was training and it was raining outside, I was like, "Oh, I don't really want to go for a run." My future self at the start line was saying, "Whoa, whoa, Steve, don't you put me on the start line with regrets. Get outside. I know it's raining, but it might be raining on the event day. So you never know. Maybe that's a good thing. Train in the rain." And I'm just like, oh, God, these voices in my head telling me, to have the no regrets. And I think it's a real philosophy that I've got. And it's near impossible to do no regrets throughout your life, but you do as much as you can, like the networking meeting, like the trying the different beer, like trying the different swimming pool. No regrets. You never know. It could be the best thing ever. It might not be, but you will never know unless you try it or unless you do it. And when you have got that no regrets, and I ask myself at the end of the day now, how did the day go, Steve? Was it a good day? And I go, well, yeah, I got up early. I did this. Oh, I did get stuck in. I got sucked into social media a little bit. Went down a rabbit hole. That was not good. And then I did have a glass of wine, which led on to another glass of wine. That's not good. Okay. Well, Steve, regrets there a little bit. Let's not do that tomorrow, and let's be better. Okay, right, let's go to sleep.
Mhm.
But the days when I go, it's been a fantastic day. I've done everything. I've done my exercise. I celebrated and done this. I go, yeah, no regrets. I sleep better. Just having
Yeah.
that perfect day. And I think what I'm trying to get across is that I'm not 100%er. And I think we get sucked into influencers now or social media or people talking about being 100% all the time, every single day, week, month, year. And you just think that's pretty much impossible. I would say I'm an 80%er, which means I have some 60% days, some 100% days, on average an 80% day, and there's nothing wrong with that. And if you want to compare yourself to somebody, compare yourself to me, or something like that, about you give and take, and you talk to yourself that when you've had that bad day, maybe you need to have a lie down, maybe you need to have a rest. It's not quitting, it's just resting. But maybe the next day, you set your alarm, you get up early, and you make the most of it. Only you can
Mm.
answer.
Yeah, yeah. You're absolutely right. We can look at other people and going, oh, they do it every single day because they're posting on social media, and you're seeing their just show reel, really, aren't you? You're seeing the best bits about their day,
Yeah.
and we can compare ourselves again and think, oh, it's not, I can't do it. But it doesn't have to be 100%. We don't have to be perfect. We just have to be doing our best every single day. And you're right, being able to sleep at night knowing that we've actually done the thing. One of my barbarisms, if you like, is you've got to keep your side of the street clean. So what I mean by that is you do your bit. You do your bit. We know what our bit is because we all secretly know what it is that we should be doing. And if our future self is going to have regrets, or if we're going to lie in bed going, oh, do you know what, I should have done that thing, or we're going to beat ourselves up in any way, just it's about just getting the thing done. Just do it, and then we'll be happy, and you can chill out. Then it's all
Yeah.
right.
Do you know, I had some conversations with my coaches, and they said, "Why have you not done that thing yet?" I said, "I just can't find time to do it." And they go, "Well, there is time in the day. You're not prioritizing." I said, "I'm prioritizing." And anyway, I was getting frustrated and angry, and I was like, "Right, solve it. Right, I'm gonna sort it out." And so the next day, I got up at 4:30, set my alarm. I actually woke up before my alarm. And I got out and I started doing that job for 2 hours, no interruptions, probably like 2.5 hours before my daughter woke up. And it was great. And I'm not saying I'd make a habit of that, but sometimes you just need to put everything to one side and tidy your street and get that thing done, that thing that's really niggling you, and you haven't done it for weeks or months, and you think, for crying out, surely in like 2 months I've had like some time to do it. And it's
Mm-hmm.
about making that time. And You don't have to, of course you don't. But oh my gosh, what a feeling when you have done that thing
Yeah.
that's been niggling you, that's flipping annoying you in your head. You
Oh,
go, oh, done it, it's right. No, stop the
I know.
noise.
And have that exactly. Stop the noise or stop that feeling that I have to do something. It's like the Friday night, when you realise that you've not done your school homework, or Sunday night when
Yeah,
you
yeah,
think, oh, I wish I'd just done it,
yeah,
done the thing.
yeah,
And
totally.
it's not about being perfect, though, is it? It's just about doing what's right for you.
Yeah.
Because when you said, "Oh, surely in the last 2 months you've had some time,"
Mm,
and you can look back because reflection's a key tool, right? You can look back and go, "Oh, I watched that box set," or "I
yeah,
went I was on social media. I spent about 2 hours on social media," or whatever.
yeah.
And you can start to look at it and think, "Well, I did do it. I did have time, but I didn't do it." So yeah, it's about being able to look yourself in the mirror, isn't it?
It
And
is.
knowing,
And
yeah.
I think what I would relate to that is this is why only you can answer it. Some people can help you and
Mm,
support you and prompt you, but only you can answer it. Only you can look yourself in the mirror because there might be a case of I'm going to do this job, I'm really going to do it, and then my daughter might come home from school and I say, "How's your day?" And she's, "Oh, not that good." I go, "Hold on a minute, I'll just put everything to one side. I'll go and talk to my daughter for maybe an hour or something. I'll come back and I go, "Oh, I haven't got time to do that job now." Now, no regrets because
mhm,
I prioritize my daughter
yeah,
rather than the work. The work I could do that tomorrow. That's fine. So at the end of that day, even though I didn't get everything done, I've got no regrets. Sometimes you are going to go out for a run or do some exercise, and you go, "Do you know what? I just need time out. I'm burning out here. I'm feeling a bit shaky. Maybe I just need to watch some box sets." Now, how many of those box sets you watch? That's a different conversation. And maybe one glass of wine is lovely and relaxing, but half a bottle or full bottle too much. So again, it's all about the balance. And again, only you can answer that.
yeah. Fantastic. Steve, how can people get hold of you?
Oh my gosh, there's no excuses. I'm everywhere. I'm like a rash
Everywhere.
in a
He
good
is
way.
everywhere.
So let's go. Let's go. LinkedIn. So Steve Judge. Just put that on. You should find me. Steve Judge. So LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, um, uh, Twitter, X. I think I'm even on TikTok. Don't go with me on TikTok. I hardly ever use it. But I've also got a website. That's probably the best way, which is www.steve-judge.co.uk and YouTube, of course. But what I mean by come and contact me if you've got any questions. I love helping people and supporting them. And if you've got any questions about what I've been talking about, whether it's accident rehabilitation or even speaking, motivation speaking or coaching, just give me a shout and let's have a chat. And if I can help you, then I will.
Amazing, amazing. Steve, it's been an absolute pleasure to chat to you today. And I will put all of Steve's links in the show notes so you can go and find him there and go and find him on one of those places, but not TikTok.
No,
We've
I don't use
discovered,
it.
yeah, it's not for you. And Steve, thanks again. I've loved chatting to you.
Okay, that's great. We could have spent more hours, I'm sure. But yeah, it's been lovely. Thanks a lot, Barbara.